So I saw you did an awesome job on this house, and I wanted to just talk with you about the numbers for this property, and then just the process that you go through for the punch list and getting it ready for sale.
Okay, well, thank you for the compliment. We bought the house for $130,000, and I spent about $23,000 on the rehab.
So what level of rehab did this house require?
It was not a huge rehab. We did have a few major things. We did the roof. We put the granite in. We spent a little bit of money on landscaping, and then the rest of it was just general rehab, paint, new flooring, new fixtures, cleaning.
Nice. So did you have to replace the cabinets or anything, or?
No, we just paint up the cabinets. We put new hardware in, pretty much all the basic stuff that we normally do in just a normal type of rehab situation.
Okay, so when you start the process of going through the punch list, what is your checklist or what is your process for doing that?
So I like to start with the outside of the house, and I have a few tools that I like to use, which like my blue tape bracelet. Blue tape bracelet I like to wear, and a notepad, pen, and then I usually have my phone with me in case there's something I have a question about. I can just snap a picture of it and talk to the contractor about it. But usually I start with the outside and I just kind of start walking through. I do bring the scope of work with me also, just so I can verify that those items on the scope of work have been completed. And just starting with the outside, go very slowly through and then start working through the interior.
Okay. So what do you do? Do you list out all of the little things that you see that aren't just right? Or what are you looking for?
So things I'm looking for is, first of all, are all of the items complete on the scope of work? Beyond that, it gets into quality of the work. We want to make sure that the texture looks right, the painting is even, the outlets are not upside down, which happens so often. Looking for any kind of little things, and then beyond those type of real obvious cosmetic type things, then I start looking into inspection type things that I know are going to come up on inspections that have come up time and time again. So some things like that would be like the trees rubbing on the roof. You can't have anything rubbing on the roof, so those need to be trimmed. Also, the water heater being raised 18 inches is comes up all the time.
Right.
So I always try to get ahead of that, make sure we get it on a stand. This house had a big deck on it, so we want to make sure there wasn't any rotted wood, that all the rails and everything were safe.
Right. Yeah, because that can be easily missed, right? Like a little piece of trim or something you didn't notice had some rotted wood, and if it was painted before and you didn't know it.
Right.
So just going through and kind of making sure there's not anything that some inspector's going to poke a screwdriver in and find out that it's all rotted.
Right. So those are things that I try to look for. Also, even making sure the doors are sealed, because that's a super easy thing, but a lot of time it gets missed. There's weather stripping, that there's no light cracks showing around the doorway, things like that.
So when it's closed, you don't see any light coming in from outside.
Right.
You remember that time we had that house where we had the windows installed, and one of the windows was a side-to-side open, but they installed it to open up and down.
Yeah.
So check the windows and say if you're installing them, make sure that they use the right windows. It's
Right.
funny as it sounds, right?
Right. And even the door, the exterior doors to the garage, a lot of times now they're calling for fire rated doors. So I try to make sure that those are in place, just for safety. Anything that's health and safety, I try to really look out for and catch ahead of time.
So what about the stuff that you notice after the rehab while you're doing the punch list that wasn't maybe on the scope of work? So how do you handle that with the contractor?
I just make note of it and have him go back and fix it. Sometimes it's hard to catch everything. Making sure that things are working properly is a big deal. I go through and I try to make sure all the lights come on, that there's light bulbs in all the fixtures, that the faucets aren't leaking under the sink. Sometimes when we replace faucets, they don't tighten everything up good enough, and so sometimes you get that drippy thing happening under the cabinets.
Clogged drains, right? It's a big one.
Yeah, definitely, especially the bathtubs, because they like to rinse their paintbrushes and stuff out in there, so a lot of times that's something we need to be on top of. Garbage disposal is a big one.
Yeah.
A lot of times, flipping the switch and making sure that that actually works and there's not a bunch of crap like thrown in there, because that happens all the time too. I can tell you how many times I flip the switch on a disposal and it's like
bolts in there or something?
Yeah, it's like it's all crazy. So we want to make sure that there's nothing hanging out in there. Make sure the dishwasher works, because 9 times out of 10 something's not connected properly on the dishwasher. So just try to get ahead of everything that I can prior to an inspection.
So if you have like a yellow pad of paper that you're writing down all of these punch list items, how many pages would you say you fill up of punch list items?
Oh, it can vary anywhere from 2 to 3 pages typically.
Wow.
Yeah, and it sounds like a lot, but honestly a lot of it's really small things. And I only do that because I like to keep a record of what the repairs are. So usually I'll write everything down. If I need to, I'll take a picture, and then I make a copy of that and I share it with the contractor, and then I keep a copy. That way when he calls me and says, okay, everything is done. And to me, everything done is like it's ready to go on the market. Everything is completely finished. And so then I can take that, rather than going back to the scope of work again, I can take the punch list and just make sure that all of those items are finished. Yeah. So basically that was the rehab. I think it looks great. There's only a little bit more, a couple items left to be finished, but we plan to go on the market, and hopefully it'll sell quickly.
Very quickly.
Very quickly.
Multiple offers.
Multiple offers.
Over asking price.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you guys for watching this informational video about the walkthrough process and doing the punch list for rehab. And got my beautiful wife Melissa sharing how she handles all of that. So thank you for sharing all that. And please like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/flippingjunkie. Thank you for watching.